Good morning, kids. This is Grandma Freeman, and I want to talk about getting out of debt. During the last year, we are realizing that we're having a worldwide financial difficulty. And although debt or credit has been a major way of life in the United States and possibly in other countries, I am convinced that at this time, I personally need to clear the slate and pay off my debt. And the only way I can do that effectively is to pay more than the minimum amount that's required on my credit cards and on, I have one store card that I have been using. We recently repaired our fence on one side. We've replaced a fence on one side of our backyard. And it amounted to more than I expected. And when I got my bill, it was well over $800. And I had put everything that I purchased from a hardware store. And so I couldn't figure out why it was so high, because to me it should have been lower. I hadn't really spent that much money. And then when I investigated and looked at my the second page of my bill, I noticed that there were hidden fees that I didn't expect. So, and those can mount up on what you already owe each time you make a purchase. So I decided to pay off my debt. And although I think it was around $50 that was the minimum, I went ahead and paid $200 on that. So because I keep my living expenses rather low, because there are things that I need to do periodically around my homestead to keep it repaired and working properly. So even though, that was money that I could have saved or money that I could have used for something else, I decided that it's best to, in the long run, to pay it down as quickly as I can, to lower my interest rate, for one thing, because that really eats up an income or your money, your savings. So that is only one type of debt. Another type is, that's a store debt. But credit cards also, the interest rates have progressively gone up over the years for credit cards. MasterCard, Visa, any kind of credit card. So in order to avoid carrying a debt over into a new year, because that can really add up, is to pay it off within the same year. And at my age, I think, I don't want to be in debt for the rest of my life and then put that on my children, and having them to have to pay it off before they can, count anything I have left over. So I decided to not use my credit card, since I did use it last year around Christmas time, or just before Christmas. My washing machine started shaking up all over the place. I mean, it was really moving when it was spinning, and my son told me what was wrong, and he could have fixed it, but he had already fixed it a couple of years prior. So I decided to buy a new one, and I went to a store that's not as expensive, and they had things that were slightly, they weren't really damaged in the mechanisms or in the working of it, but they had a few scratches, and I couldn't even, they were not really that visible. So I bought myself top of the line a Maytag, and then of course, we decided to replace the dryer and have matching dryers, and we were able to match it up. So, and that was over $1,000. And I wanted to carry it before I had shopped there, and I carried my debt with the store, but I could no longer do that. So I don't know, their policy, they changed their methods of payment. So what they wanted me to do is they wanted to attach to my bank, and I really didn't want that. So I tried to figure out what I could do. Would I take the money out of my savings and just pay cash? I don't think that was a good idea. That thought, I didn't, I have to go about how I feel about things like that. And I didn't want to have them attached to my savings account. So I had a MasterCard, and I decided I wanted that. I needed that washing machine, and I needed a new dryer. So I decided to use my MasterCard. Well, I got a lot of points, and I used those points to pay off part of my debt, which, it wasn't that much, but it was enough to pay off the interest maybe for the month. And so I went ahead and I bought that. And now, for the last 6 months, I've been paying that down. And I mean, really trying to pay it down. I haven't been purchasing clothes. I do have another church account that I set aside for gifts and clothes. So I don't know a lot on that. And I pay a little bit more than the minimum because I can't use it. I mean, I really don't think I should use it until I get that paid down enough to keep that bill minimum. So I think at this time in the financial crisis that's taking place, the cost of living has risen so much, and everything, insurance, food, gas, everything has gone up so much this in the last few years. And I don't see it that it might level off right now or go down. So in order to have enough to live on, I feel like I need to get out of debt, because next year we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if the cost of living might go up like it did this year. And so in order to have enough money to get by each month, we need to get out of debt now. We need to pay off our debt. And this country has made a terrible mistake the Fed has made a terrible mistake by getting more debt accrued. The national debt is so high that it scares me. Sometimes I'm not even sure if I'm going to get paid, because they always threaten to close the government down, to shut down the government over not being able to agree on the budget. So get out of debt. Try to keep your debt down. And if you're not in debt, try to live on what you earn and save as much as you can for that rainy day, for a time when you may not have a job or anybody to depend on. You need to stay out of debt as much as possible. If you need to buy a home, and a home is a good thing, but the cost of mortgages and the interest rates are so high, I don't know what to tell you. But if you do buy a home, you may be paying less than what you're paying for rent in the long run. Do your homework, study. Don't just jump into a mortgage plan. Study it and read the fine print. Try to understand what you're getting yourself into, and make sure that you're not paying more than half your income on a mortgage payment. Well, have a wonderful day. Bye now.